What is up, everybody? Welcome back to I Want Entertainment. We are here. Some more content for season 37, Port Royal. It's time for another exit interview with the one, the only, one of the best position members of the Black-Beard crew. The L stands for Livingston, y'all. Give a round of applause. So, Livy, what have you been up to since we made you walk the plank during the aftershock?
Complaining about being on pre-jury mostly. It's just like it's good to be out of the game because like the stress is off of you, especially considering how many pre-jury tribals I attended. It's like, okay, on one hand, I wish I were still there tearing shit up, but on the other hand, I get to breathe easy. And the other people in the game don't get to breathe easy. I can tell. That's just how it goes.
Was the game more stressful than you had anticipated?
It's iSurvivor, so like in my mind, it's a big deal, and I've never been to pre-jury tribals like this. I think like 80% of the time when I play a Survivor org, I get on the tribe that like wins shit. And it gives me time to kind of make those social bonds, but not have to make strategic bonds like right away, because I'm primarily a social player, not a strategic player. So this game kind of was a lot more for me than I usually have to do so early on, and that definitely was felt.
So I want to rewind. You might not really remember, you might remember vividly. So you get your materials in, you're in the cast, day one is revealed. Do you remember what was going through your mind during like the cast reveal process, and then on the night one call when like tribes were decided, the twist of the season with the roles?
I remember I was very stressed because this was kind of like, in the grand scheme of things, like my first org in a little bit. I think like this was like the longest gap between orgs I had really done, because I played one like halfway through last semester and then I just cooled it. So this semester I of course got on this game, and I remember I was watching the cast reveal and I was like, there are not that many people that I know, and I love this, and this brings a lot of good opportunities. I got on call with Black-Beard night one, and I was one of the people around, and I got to feel things out, and I'm like, okay, I think this is a cool group of people, and a group of people other than Bobby that I don't really have any sort of connection to, which is great, especially as someone like me who's been around the community 2.5 years now. Like, it's not common I see a cast with like less than like 5 to 6 people I know already, if not me knowing at least half the cast, which I don't like.
So you get on the Black-Beard ship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember which challenges you got your ass kicked in and which challenges you did pretty well. I think the first challenge you only lost by like 2 or 4 points. It was rather close. It was the second challenge you got your ass kicked, and then a couple of other ones. But
loser.
Hey Jersey, bring me back to Black-Beard. Bring me back to what you thought of your tribe. Bring me back to why y'all couldn't get your shit together.
It was so disappointing, because I do think like on paper we were a good tribe. Like, I felt like the vibes, I'm like, okay, this tribe is capable, this tribe can pull shit out. And I think when it came down to it, when we had to figure things out at tribal, and of course looking at the way the merge has been, like, Black-Beard can get their shit together, but it was this constant thing of push and pull. Sometimes there'd be this wide gap between us and the win, and sometimes it would be just like this. The 24-hour challenge was like that like second challenge was like that. It was like we kept seeing these glimmers of hope, and we're like, we can pull this out. And that made it to where like we got in a position where we will do anything. Like, to have a tribe where not only like one person drinks toilet water for immunity, but all 5 participating people do, like, is insane. And I think shows that when it came down to it, Blackbeard may have like lost and lost and lost, but it was a tribe where there's a lot of passion for the game, and like genuinely, especially when it came down to it, everyone wanted to be there. And I don't know how we couldn't get our shit together. I think a lot of it comes down to luck. I think the 24-hour challenge, it was something where it's like, oh yeah, if I like press enter on my keyboard like 0.00000000008 seconds slower than someone on Calico, I'm fucked. And so's my tribe. So it just came down to the wire so much. And we just didn't have luck on our side all the time, which stunk.
Regardless of the lack of success Blackbeard seemed to have in challenges, the game's almost over, so I'm not going to be very like covert about things. You were positioned almost perfectly, Livy. Maybe Nay threw out your name once or twice, but your name never gained traction. You know, like there's always a name and then like a counter name, sort of like stars, and you were never like in that set of people up for the block on Blackbeard. What do you credit that to?
I think I've played so many orgs and I've realized that kudos to the people that can be flexible and play these super like shady games and can like, well, I consider myself to be adaptable, but what I realized very early on is my gameplay is very specific to who I am as a person. And I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like, I don't take myself too seriously. Like, that's just not me. So when I hit a game, the way in which I build social bonds tends to be I'm active, I'm talking to people, and I'm also clowning around with both myself and others. So it makes me this disarming presence. And as I do that, I talk to people and I figure out like, okay, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to build connections with? And some people just don't click. And there were people this season that didn't click, but I was put in a position where the people that did click, I was able to make those bonds so strong that like that was the majority of the tribe. That was the circle that worked for me. And I think had I not got one twist fucked and not idled out, I think I'd probably go, or not idled out, didn't play my idol and got out as a result. I think I would have went very far because I had different things. I put Benji and Max both in a position where they liked me, and even when Benji wasn't working strategically with me, Benji wanted to talk to me. Benji wanted to know my thoughts on things. And Benji and Max brought me into that 3 right after Bobby left, and I was given the info of their idol, which essentially tethers them to me to where, oh yeah, they can't write my name down because I know that one of them has the idol, you know. And it's kind of, it's just making people like you. And I think some people are able to do that, and some people on pre-jury aren't able to do that. And I think that's what I kind of credit my success to.
So we get deep into the pre-merge. Weather starts, showing signs of treachery. So for the safety of each of you, we dock, and Blackbeard's finally able to mingle with Calico. At this point in the game, did you think it was a merge? Like initially?
I sensed fuckery, but especially with 41, 42 being the latest Survivor seasons, and that whole thing being like, ha ha ha, fake merge. Oh, we never said merge, that type of shit. So I always knew Earthquake had to mean something, but like, I was like, I'm not going to read too into it because I don't see anything that I could possibly say. Any speculation that I can give really, helping me at all. So I was like, okay, I will just talk to people best I can, but I'm not going to prioritize it too much because I think I don't want to put my eggs in one basket and like, do I think what Benji was doing where it's like, okay, Romeo, you'll flip. Okay, like here's our plan before anything happens, and then have that rug pulled out from under you, and then suddenly Romeo's out of the game and I'm out of the game. And they're all on one beach for the actual merge. Like, I wanted to build those social bonds, knowing that I didn't think it was an actual merge, but I didn't want to plan too far ahead in which I just fucked myself over.
So it's not a merge. Both tribes vote. I commend that you were so genuinely honest with Rachel. Like the moment that call where you were like breaking it to her, my heart went out. So Rachel gets voted out. Romy gets voted out. The night you went out was like the biggest shitstorm earthquake I've ever seen in a while. At the start of that night, did you have any inkling that maybe you were not going to be around tomorrow?
I told Benji, because I don't know if you remember, but I called the order in which I did my calls was I called Benji when I got back to my Airbnb, and then I called Ty because I needed to make sure I could lean Ty that way, and then I called Rachel because I wanted Rachel to know. When I was on call with Benji, I dead ass told Benji, I'm like, I want it to be Blackbeard 5 at the end of this. I think this is the best chance, but for whatever reason, I have a gut feeling that I'm not making out of this. And Benji asked why, and I could not give him an answer. And sometimes I feel like, especially when I have an idol, I have to like talk myself out of paranoia. I'm like, I don't want to just do something out of paranoia. But every time my gut has told me that something is amiss and I'm gonna get fucked over and I don't listen to it, it's turned out that my gut's correct. So maybe I should listen to myself a little bit more. But I literally told Benji, and I think I probably told Ty too. I said, for whatever reason, I don't feel like I make it out of whatever tonight is. And I end up being correct, unfortunately. Alas.
So Rachel hands Max a buff. Did you think that when I revealed Rachel, it's not a celebration without some company? Was there a part of you that was like, oh shit, I'm about to get this buff, baby?
I thought there was a chance, but I didn't think it was probable. Mostly because, and this is maybe my good positioning on Blackbeard kind of haunting me a little bit, because with the Rachel vote and the way in which everyone else was playing the game, I put myself in a position to where I had to be the one to push the Rachel name. I had to be the one to push the Rachel plan. And it put me in a position to where on paper, knowing that context, it wouldn't really make much sense to a lot of people. It'd probably sketch a lot of people out if the whole thing is Liv was the one that pushed the Rachel plan, and now Liv and Rachel are the first two people merged. So like, I think I understood that. And I think the second I wasn't chosen, I like ran that scenario in my head and I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. I kind of put myself in a position where it's like, okay, to make sure it's a Blackbeard 5, I need to put myself in this position and make this risk. But then the risk ended up being maybe a little too much. But that's unfortunately what I had to do to make sure everything on my side was the way it was supposed to. And it almost turned out all right for me, but alas.
So towards the end of that night, you find yourself at tribal council, blindsided with 4 others: Julia, Taisha, Valian, Nolita. Bring me back to that tribal council. You had the idol gifted to you from Bobby when he was blindsided. Being at this tribal council with 3 Calico. Oh, and I just want to say how heartbreaking it was to see the 2 options that night be my prestige babies. Bring me back to that night, lady.
That night was difficult for me because back when I played BB Disney with Julia, we got in a position where just like a bunch of like IRL shit went down and I was on the block, and Julia and others did not evict me, despite me like just not being around that night as a result. So to see her in a similar position, but knowing that I don't think there's a way out of it in which I don't write Julia's name down, that like was something I struggled with. And I literally told Julia that. And like, looking back, I wish I would have just like thrown Velian out to Julia, because like I did kind of get the vibes that like, oh yeah, like Velian might be a little snaky. Of course, I didn't know the extent of it at the time, but like I I thought of that. Like that went through my head, but at the same time, I'm like, I know Julia's a good player, and I know Julia could flip this on me. Uh, I ended up going anyway, but I wish I would have taken that risk because it would have put myself in a position to where maybe Julia and I both survive, and I would still have my idol and everything like that. So
Change the trajectory of the merge because essentially
yeah,
you went out, Julia went out right after you. So was it good for both of your games to vote for each other? Question mark.
I don't think so. That's why I told Julia when she hit pre-jury, like I would have like even if Julia would have had to write my name down anyway to save face, if I at least would have been tipped off, I literally would have written down Velian's name and idled out Velian because like idling out Julia would have made me feel like shit. But I think if Julia goes that night, I think I'm probably okay just because my Blackbeard connections and some of the other people that seemed at least a little interested to work with me on the Calico side. And I think if we both stay in the game, I probably like keep Julia over other people as that first merge boot that's not a jury boot. Because at the end of the day, Julia Rose, someone you will always know is going to be a threat. And I think some of the people that are left in the game are people that are being underestimated. Like the fact that Zach's name wasn't even mentioned at all as a threat last night, knowing his record in games, is insane to me. It's baffling, but that's kind of the way things go sometimes. Looks directly at the camera.
Oh my God, sorry. I was okay, so I was like, you've been out of the game for a little while. So you've been able to sit as like a spectator and watch, this portion of the game, the merge, play out. Maybe a specific thing that you've seen so far or a specific player. So like either an event or person that is impressing you most now.
I guess two of the black actually no, I'll bring up three players. So like Rachel is someone I'm very invested in. I think she's a little too hard on herself. I think she has a lot of potential, and I think like with idle plays and stuff like that, like she's shown that. I think Nolita's someone that I underestimated. I did not know Nolita was the type of player she was just because I don't know, something about the way in which she holds herself. I had no idea. And you all have talked about her positioning. Her positioning doesn't seem great, but I think she at least has some good like pieces of her game. I think overall, the all around package, the like person who's this is probably her season to win, and if it's not, she's gonna tear up a returnee position. Is like Taisha's a beast. I kind of got the vibes that she was a beast on Blackbeard, which is why I was very careful with putting her in my inner circle because I wanted to have her close to me, but I was like, I don't want to have like a final two with Taisha or a final two or final three and feel tied to Taisha and have to have this be my game to lose. And I think the way in which connections are, I think this may be a lot of the people's left's game to lose because this is Taisha's game to win. And I think I'm just, I don't want to say I'm impressed with Taisha because like I got that vibe the whole time. I'm just like, Taisha's just a beast, and Taisha's continuing to beast in my view, from what I can see.
And on the flip side of that, from your perspective, any person that you are like disappointed by because maybe replace them with a pre-juror or somebody in the jury who's not in the game anymore would just provide or would be playing with like their whole heart if this person was not there type of thing.
I don't know. That's a difficult one for me. I think that like Zach is a smart guy and his placements like show that he's done really well, but like I do feel like he's just playing for like second or third. And I don't know, I don't know too much like on that. I just I feel a little bit disappointed by Zach, I think overall.
Okay. Now, looking back on your time in the game, Livingston, biggest regret, one thing that you would change, if anything at all?
Playing my idol. I would have played my idol. I would have played my idol and then I would have munched merge. The only thing is, I will reiterate it that I've said it on jury a bunch, is that people not knowing about my idol and me not being honest about it could have made things a little troubling for me. But I think like with my social game, I think I would have been able to fix that and save face. And at least I would have still been in the game, at least an extra round.
Any advice to future players, Livingston?
If your gut tells you you may be going home, listen to it, because a failed idol play is better than a spot on pre-jury. I promise you, it is.
And not saying immediately, but in the future, say Drew Rocky or I come creeping up in your inbox saying, "Hey, Livy, you want to play again?" Would you?
Every single time, I will be there for a flop season, a second chance season, an all-star season, one day an all-winner season. I will. Fans versus favorites, whatever. I'm there. My appearance fee is not expensive at all, I assure you.
Amazing. Drewski. Oh, Drewski left. So he doesn't have any questions. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest, Livingston? Something that I haven't asked before we put Livingston and I Survivor 37 to rest?
I don't know. I'll tell my future self. If you have an idol, play it.
Play it, especially at a tribal council where more than half of the people you haven't really ever played with.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all for me.
Livy, from the bottom of my heart, man, cannot thank you enough for playing. It was a pleasure meeting you in Prestige. Thank you for casting. You gave me such an amazing experience, and I can only hope to have done the same for you here. Although I do miss you, you didn't make the merge. You didn't get to those accomplishments that most players want to, but still, dude, you brought it. You were amazing to watch, and we hope you had a blast.
I did. Thank you, Sandy. Y'all killed it on the hosting side.
Such a pleasure, Livingston. We will see you soon.